What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Stanley Cup Final Wednesday edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus. We got our friend Tyler Yaremchuk joining in about 5 minutes to give us the vibes going on in Edmonton right now as Game 1 is tonight. We're finally here. We made it to Game 1. It's been a long wait, but I know Colby and I have been getting a little bit restless, even me, and I'm a pretty patient guy. I've been getting a little bit impatient to watch some hockey, so I'm finally excited that it's here. Colby, how you feeling this morning?
How am I feeling this morning? Well, isn't
Things
that
might get
always
heated today, I feel like. I don't know. I'm pretty riled up this morning.
isn't that a loaded question? I really do want to get into the stupidity of your social media and your, Will Cooley takes. But we do have Tyler joining the show, so we will couch that until a little bit later. But we will talk about that because it's like,
What?
I got an
What?
echo. You hear that?
I don't hear an echo. No.
Oh, I had an echo going. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So, I would like to see where the chat lies on that.
What, are you good?
Something's going on with my computer. I'm having like an echo situation here. So I'm going to go on mute for about 2 seconds.
Okay.
And why don't you prepare to get Tyler into the show? I got a new computer, by the way, because I wanted a better machine that could handle, the camera, the microphone. Like, for whatever reason, my MacBook was not working well.
Why are you explaining to everybody why you got a new computer? I think it's...
Well, I'm just saying. And so I'm struggling to figure out how to use it. That's why I'm explaining. I don't usually have these echo problems.
All right. Well, just to let you know, you sound good. You look good. So whatever's going on, I guess just
it's only in my head, is what you're saying?
Maybe, yeah. Is Tyler ready, Vic? I don't know if we have Tyler here yet.
All right, I think I got rid of the echo thing. So we are on the morning of the Stanley Cup Finals. It took a week to get here. We've been seeing all of the comments about it. I mean, I do have concerns that a lot of people have sort of tuned out the sport of hockey at this point, this week off, and then the schedule is what the schedule is. But I am excited, and I do think it's interesting because a lot of people are very, very far apart on how they see this series going.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I have not seen a general consensus amongst the people. Obviously, separate the Florida fans, we know what they think. The Edmonton fans, we know what they think. But as far as, the people, the other hockey players that are on television talking about it, our chat, people on, the World Wide Web of information, all of those places. Yes, I called it the World Wide Web, Johnny. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about when I say something like that.
But totally ignoring it.
But there is no real general consensus. And what I think we should do before we have Tyler on is, and hopefully he'll be here in the next couple of minutes, but I guess we could give our predictions. And I know that you think that Florida's going to win, and I know that you think they're going to win in 6 because you said as much.
Yep. And I said Sam Bennett, Conn Smythe.
I foresee this being a 7-game series going the other way. I do have concerns. But I want to know from you first, what is it about Florida that you think gives them the opportunity to repeat as champions? Because when we look at the history of teams that played back-to-back years in the finals, it's usually gone to the team that lost the first time around in year 2 in the history of the game. Now, history can change always, right? So I'm curious, like, what is it about the way that you are looking at this series that makes you confident that it's not even a 7-game series?
Well, what scares me is that I haven't seen Florida become unraveled at any point in these playoffs. And I know it's been a while since we've seen that from the Oilers, but when the Oilers haven't been playing well, they become pretty scary. When Stuart Skinner is not on his game, like things go south quickly for Edmonton if they're not consistent. And again, I know they've been consistent post game 2 of the first round, but I still have those like images of games 1 and 2 against LA in the back of my mind where those can creep up and be like, man, if Florida just gets them a little bit off their game, this could get ugly. Whereas on the opposite side, I haven't seen anyone do that to the Panthers in the last 3 years. Like, this team has been the definition of consistent. Maybe people can say, like, games 1 and games 2 of the Toronto series, the Maple Leafs look better. But even when Toronto was at their best, like, they still had a hard time beating Florida. This team, I just have a very difficult time betting against the Florida Panthers team that I've watched now for the past 3 years. And obviously, when you bring in Brad Marchand, Seth Jones, and those two have played really well, like, well, how am I supposed to bet against them now? I bet against them a ton in the past. And I'm around. I just don't think I can do it. And let me just ask you one question, because I was asking this to myself, so I want to ask you out loud, and be fully honest, because I know that you're taking the Oilers and you think the Oilers are going to win. But when it comes down to one game, who would you rather have in net, Bob or Skinner?
Bob.
One game, Edmonton blue line or Florida blue line?
I mean, I would say the Florida blue line is deeper.
One game, Florida bottom 6, Edmonton bottom 6.
Yeah, I mean, if Brad Marchand's playing on your third line, you know, you're probably looking again, but you're asking me for one game. So are you saying this goes to a 7th game?
No, I'm just saying, like, that. I was asking myself those questions to see which team that I think I trust more, and Florida is the team that I came to that I trust more.
Right. Okay. You forgot a big piece for me, though.
The top 6 and the power play and that stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't even going to go there. I was going to give you one name. McDavid.
But that was last year too.
You know, but here's my rebuttal to that. Mm-hmm. My rebuttal to that would be, you know, McDavid didn't have the greatest 7 games last year. Like, they held him in check at times in the season, and the same would go for Leon Draisaitl, right? There were a lot of stretches of the finals that those guys were kept in check last year. And so I just, you know, I think the McDavid factor, I think you're also talking about a team that's been to the finals. This team had to learn how to win by losing, right? Like, you're not talking about a team that just kind of Cinderellaed their way in here. And look, one of the questions that I'm starting with when we get Tyler, who is here, and we'll bring him in here in 1 second. Mm-hmm. My first question to him is going to be, Tyler, please just make me feel better about the fact that Stuart Skinner can beat Sergei Bobrovsky in a city, because both of these teams can score goals, and both of these teams can put immense amounts of offensive pressure on you and on your goaltender. And, like, I'm picking the Oilers. I'm picking them in 7 to win. McDavid is going to carry this team. And, you know, obviously it's a little more complex than that. But the only pause that I have, and the only thing that makes me nervous is in a game 7, who's going to be the better goaltender? It was only the difference of 1 or 2 saves last year in game 7. Skinner did not play bad in game 7 last year. He did not play bad. But Bob made 1 or 2 extra saves that he probably shouldn't have made. That's the difference in the hockey game. So I need Tyler to just make me feel a little bit better about that. Even though Skinner's been lights out, the guy's been lights out. I mean, like, seriously, since the 6-game vacation, he's been lights out. There's no doubt about it. But I need Tyler to give me the warm and fuzzies about it. But I am picking the Edmonton Oilers. So why don't you get him in here, Johnny?
My last thing, quick, and we can get into this after Tyler hops off. But, like, everyone has talked about the experience that Edmonton gained from last year. Florida still gained some more experience too.
Of course.
They learned how to win it all. But, like, no one's talking about that. Everyone's just saying, like, oh, Edmonton got there last year. Now they know better. Florida won it. They learned how to win it.
Yeah.
And they faced adversity too.
Listen, and then they went out and added a couple more killers. Like, there's no holes here. Like, there's no holes here, right? I mean, nobody's like, this is best on best. The 2 teams that are here are not here by mistake. So why don't you read Tyler into the show? Let's see how fired up he is this morning. I would assume very fired up for game day.
Yep. So before we bring Tyler on, just a quick word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. And Tyler, no joke for me this morning to lead you in. First of all, it's good to see you. Congrats again on getting to another Final. I'm sure you're excited. I hope you're excited. I want to make it clear before this conversation starts. I am rooting for the Oilers. Okay. My heart is with them, but I don't think they're going to win. That's where my brain is, which is probably better for you. But here's my question. Okay. Here's my question. As the days have gone on, I feel like the narratives I'm reading, the things that I'm hearing, and honestly, what the betting lines also say, it feels like somehow the Oilers have become the underdogs going in, the favorites, excuse me.
Yeah.
That the Panthers are the underdogs going into this series. Do you feel that way? And do you like being the favorite? Like, I would rather be the dog, but I don't know how you feel.
No, I mean, favorites have been on a really good run in Stanley Cup Finals. I forget the exact record, but I'm pretty sure it's something like 13-4 or it's something crazy, but like favorites have been winning and teams with home ice advantage have been winning a lot of the recent Stanley Cup Finals. So it doesn't worry me at all. I mean, go back to last year, who were the favorites? It was the Florida Panthers. Go back to the year before that, who were the favorites? It was the Vegas Golden Knights. So yeah, I have no worries about being favorites, and I have no worries about that mindset affecting this Oilers team. Colby, you kind of touched on it, but like this is a group that's been together for a really long time. They've lost a lot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't think there's one player in that room who all of a sudden starts to get a little too high on themselves or thinks this is going to come easy because the betting lines or the experts say that they're going to win.
Well, Johnny asked me some pretty fair questions, Tyler, and he said, well, who are you picking here? Who are you picking there? Like he did a little pick 'em throughout the lineup. And listen, they're fair questions, but I don't know how much you heard me talking about this. I know you were kind of getting set up, and I know you're not in your usual studio. Although I will say, look, where are you? That is a good question.
I'm in my front room in my kitchen. All my studio stuff is at the office because we're kind of all hands on deck. Thought we'd be doing shows at the rink yesterday, so I'm just sitting in my kitchen.
Okay, well, it's a beautiful looking kitchen.
Yeah, it's a nice mirror.
But my question for you is can you make me feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy that Stuart Skinner can beat Sergei Bobrovsky in a game 7? Because to me, goaltending matters so much. And Frank and I will argue about this and until we no longer have it in us to argue anymore, which I don't know if that will ever happen. But, I believe that goaltending is everything. And it's the only thing that makes me a little nervous for the Edmonton Oilers. Not that I don't think Stuart Skinner is capable of playing well. I think the other guy's a better goaltender, right? So how can I wrap my head around the fact that I think this series is going 7, and I think it's going to come down to 2 or 3 marquee moments, and I need Stuart Skinner to make those saves?
Who had a better save percentage between him and Bob last year in the Cup Final, Colby?
I actually don't know. Did Skinner finish with a better?
Yeah.
He did?
Absolutely. Stuart Skinner finished with a higher save percentage. And listen, that loss in game 7, like people forget because there was an 8-1 blowout and there was a 4-point night by McDavid. But like Stuart Skinner was very, very important in them getting that series back to game 7. And in game 7, I totally get what you're saying, Colby. We're like, oh man, one more save by Stuart Skinner. Okay, but one more save by Stuart Skinner, and that game's only 1-1. Like, my biggest problem with Game 7 last year was not the goaltending that the Oilers got. It's the fact that you're the Edmonton Oilers, and in a Game 7 with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you got held to 1 goal. The Edmonton Oilers should always be scoring 3 goals in a hockey game, and if they don't, they deserve to lose. That's how they're built. Look at where they spend their money. They spend a total $3.6 million on their goaltending. If that gets you to a game 7, you owe those goalies at least 3 goals. So I didn't look at last year at all and go, man, Stuart Skinner got outclassed, whatever. This series was bookended, game 1 and game 7, by 2 games where Sergei Bobrovsky was brilliant and the Oilers offense just simply couldn't solve him. So again, I didn't view last year at all as a Stuart Skinner problem. I don't view him as a goalie who can't get it done in a big moment. I think you can go back to every elimination game he's had to play. Last year, game 7 against Vancouver, absolutely nails, only gave up 2 goals. The Oilers scored him 3. Go to game 6 against Dallas. He was brilliant. Go to games 4, 5, 6 against Florida. Go back to this year, the 2 elimination games, Vegas and Dallas. Brilliant in all of them. So I have no concerns about Stuart Skinner's ability to elevate. And actually, the fact he's 1 more year mature, I think helps a guy like him who comes off as just so calm and composed.
Let me ask you this, Tyler, and this is more of
thank you for that.
Yeah,
thank
I
you
got
for
you.
that. I like, boy, you just made me feel a hell of a lot better within 45 seconds. That's why we love you, Tyler. Thank you.
Yeah, and you're actually, Tyler, the first person I've heard take that approach at Game 7 last year. There's been a lot of conversations around it, But I haven't really seen or heard the opinion of like the Oilers scored one fucking goal. Like, you know what I mean?
Connor
No,
McDavid missed a lot of really good
yeah,
looks in that game, and I think that's part of the reason why. I mean, you saw the heartbreak in that locker room, but you saw McDavid in like literal tears. I think it probably really wore on him that like, man, I just had a chance in a game 7, and like the guy 97,
yeah,
I didn't do enough.
yeah. Well, that one late too, the chance to tie it late, like right in the slot. Like that's actually one of Brant Berglund's like go-to clips that he shows about PGR and goalie angles and stuff like that, where the angle changed like within the matter of a second. But I just want to ask you about game 1, because honestly, even your demeanor right now feels very similar to the way the team has been throughout the playoffs, where, you know, you've been here. It's more business-like. It's way less emotional. Like I remember last year going into game 1, like you were all jittery and like, you know, all bouncing off the walls. Right now, you're like very calm and composed on the show. And I know, I'm sure as the day goes on, the emotions will start to get, you know, more ramped up. But the game 1s throughout these playoffs have been very interesting. You know, first round, obviously, that roller coaster of a game in LA, the 3-goal third period comeback to lose. Then, you know, the game 1 in Vegas, great goaltending performance, I believe, right? Like that was a game where it was Pickard who stood on his head. And then, you know, the third period blown lead in Dallas. But those 3 were all on the road. The game 1 tonight, if they are to lose, is there still that no panic, or because they're on home ice now and they go down 1-0 to the Florida Panthers, does that composure almost go away a little bit and the nerves creep in? Because I don't think there has been any of that to this point.
I don't think it should, because I think the Oilers should be going into this series saying we need to win at least one in Florida. Like you can take care of business on home ice, but again, the idea that you're just going to be perfect and, you know, go up 2-0 and then split it in Florida and win this thing in game 5, as much as that is my prediction, I think for the guys in the room, that shouldn't be their expectation, that they're just going to sit there and, you know, steamroll the Florida Panthers. So there shouldn't be any sort of panic if they go down 1-0 in this series, because again, they will have to go into Florida and win a game if they want to win this series in all likelihood. So again, they've been here before. The fact they've been down 3-0 to this exact same Florida Panthers team and found a way to crawl all the way back. The fact they were down 2-0 to LA. They were down 3-2 last year to Vancouver. They were down 2-1 last year to the Dallas Stars. Like, this team should know by now that as series go on, they get better, and they really shouldn't be worried.
Here's the other thing that I'm looking at this year, Tyler, because look, we talked about how large stretches of the series last year. First off, Draisaitl was not as offensively productive as you need him to be in the finals last year. I mean, that is just a fact, right?
Colby, he didn't score a goal.
I'm saying.
Did you not have one?
No, it's
Leon
factual.
and Bush did not score a goal in the Stanley Cup Final last year.
And McDavid had stretches where Barkov kept him in check, right? Yeah. Now you have this ability based on the way that Nugent Hopkins has been playing, and Corey Perry has moved up the lineup. Kapanen has brought this speed to this forward group, and so he's been up the lineup. Evander Kane's probably the freshest player in all of the playoffs. He didn't play hockey this year, right? So I think that Knoblauch's got to be patient and not put those guys on the same line early in the series, because you want to make Maurice sort of have to determine who Barkov is going out against, right? Try to, waste Barkov's line against McDavid, then Draisaitl's line is going to get better opportunities to play against. Maybe it's Marchand's line or that third grouping with Luostarinen and Lundell. But I think that they have more depth this year, which we know. Like, I'm not stating anything that's not obvious to people, but I think they got to be really patient in going to the nuclear option, as you always call it, and putting the big dogs together.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think Chris Knoblauch's been pretty good at that in these playoffs, not hitting that, call it panic button all that quickly. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's a point I've been making that, like, you can talk about how Barkov shut down McDavid last year, all that stuff, and then look at the games where they got McDavid away from him in that matchup and McDavid started racking up the goals. But like, if both Connor and Leon are going in this Stanley Cup final, you can't play Alexander Barkov against both of them. You can only play him against one. And that's the beauty of the Oilers. That's where their biggest advantage is in every single series that they play. They have two legitimate superstars who do not need to play on the same line in order to be productive most of the time. So I think having both guys going, and again, last year it was Draisaitl took that cross check from Myers. His arm was never the same, even though he'd never tell you. It was obviously affecting his ability to shoot the puck. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a shot on goal in game 7 of the series either. Like, Draisaitl was banged up. He was out of juice by the end of that run last year. And that's just another area where, like, the Oilers getting back to this point, they know what it takes. They know what level they need to be at. And I don't think you're getting another 7-game series where Leon Draisaitl doesn't score a goal. I don't think you're getting an 8th game between these two teams where he doesn't score a goal. I bet you he finds a way to get going tonight. And it's, again, one of the reasons why I think this series plays out differently. I don't think Connor and Leon are going to be as quiet as they were in last year's Cup final, with the emphasis being on Leon because, like you said, he's the curveball in every game plan, every line matching thing Paul Maurice wants to do. Having Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl play heavy minutes at 5-on-5 and both be at their top tier dominant form, there's no team that can match that.
So here's another angle I wanted to talk about too, where I think, a major lesson that Edmonton learned going into this year's final, and that's being dragged into the shit versus dragging other teams into the shit. It seems like the Oilers were a little bit more, on the ladder this time around, where they were actually the ones almost kind of starting that post whistle scrum, and they were the ones trying to inflict pain on the opponent, be a little bit meaner. I think they learned they had to be meaner, knowing who their opponent in the final might be. But that might throw themselves off their own game, I feel like, if they think they have to drag Florida into the shit, knowing that Florida will probably do it right to them first. Do you see that or no?
No, I don't. This Oilers team has never been a team that's going to go chase guys around in scrums. They have guys that'll do it. Like, if Corey Perry feels like he needs to go grab someone, he will. If Evander Kane, obviously, he loves getting involved. And Darnell
the Bouchard hint thing gave me like okay, they know what's coming.
Yeah, maybe. I think Bouchard Hintz thing, yeah, sure, bit of gamesmanship, whatever. But, like, again, that never blew up into like a really big deal because the Oilers they never go out of their way, is maybe a good way to put it. Like, that was an opportunity where Hintz was right in front of Bouchard and he was like, hell yeah, like, I'm taking a shot at this guy. But it wasn't like Bouchard chased him into the corner with the idea of like, I'm going to slash this guy in the foot 100 times during this hockey game. Like, he did it once, he kind of did it another time later in the game. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the Oilers view this series as it's going to be like a battle in the trenches after whistles where you're getting punched every time. I think they look at it and go, it's going to be a hard-fought physical series between the whistles, and I think they're just going to let their skill sort of do the talking. Evander Kane, as I see Sharma says in your chat, Kane versus Marchand could be electric, though.
Yeah. Do you think the pressure of Canada not winning a Stanley Cup in a million years is weighing on this team? Because, I do think that you look at this as a rematch, and somebody said this early on in the chat, and I do agree with it. And I'm sorry, you can maybe, put your hand up in the chat or remind me who said it. Revenge is a very strong human emotion. Okay. It's something that you can't manufacture. It is real. And the emotion and the charge that comes with revenge, I guess it was Adam Gilkes who said it, is really important here, right? But then you couple that with the fact that everybody's saying it's Connor McDavid's turn. Connor McDavid's the best player in the world. Connor McDavid needs a cup. Canada hasn't won a cup. Yeah, dumb people like Johnny, he deserves it. People don't deserve anything. They take it. Connor McDavid's going to take a Stanley Cup. He doesn't deserve a Stanley Cup. Anyways, don't throw me off here, Johnny. So I'm just curious, like, when you pair those things together, Tyler, do you think that there's credence to that? Do you think that that's fair and reasonable, or am I just blowing that out of proportion for storyline's sake?
I don't know how much it's a revenge thing for the Oilers, and listening to them talk yesterday and listening to them talk during the off days here, like Leon Draisaitl's made a point about like how bad they know Connor McDavid wants it. And like, I don't think there's like a hatred. I don't think they sit there and go like, man, we hate that the Florida Panthers beat us last year. I think they hate that they lost last year, and they hate that they, for 3 games of that series, kind of no-showed in the Stanley Cup final. Like, I think all of the fuel, all of the drive, anything that's pissing them off or giving them extra motivation, I think it's fully from the Oilers side. I don't think it's from the side of like, oh man, we hate Aaron Ekblad, we hate Matt Tkachuk. Again, there's that rivalry there with Tkachuk. Sure, maybe that wasn't the best name to throw out there, but like, I just don't know if the Oilers come into this being like, it's time for revenge. I think it's them going, no, we need to prove to everybody that we can get the job done. I think it's fully an internal thing with this Oilers team. They want to get it done. They saw the pain on Connor McDavid's face at the end of last year. Most of these guys lived through that Game 7 heartbreak and what would have been probably the worst flight home ever. Like, they don't want to experience that again. They want to prove to the hockey world that they can win. And I think it's way more about proving it than getting revenge, if that makes sense.
And just to address the comment in the chat, I think Matthew said that
disrespecting the champion or whatever.
They're the most disrespected Cup champions in recent memory. I'll just say this. The Florida Panthers sit at the top of the mountain, okay? They are still currently the last team to win a Stanley Cup. Like, this has become the model franchise, whether you're talking about coaching, whether you're talking about where all the big free agents want to go, you're talking about trade deadline, and Hall of Famers say, here's my trade list, one team. It was Claude Giroux a few years ago, and so you said, here's my one team trade list. Brad Marchand, here's my one team trade list. Everybody wants to go play in Florida. Paul Maurice, Zito, these guys have done an unbelievable job. They just built brand new practice facilities, which I heard are as nice as a country club. They're so good. So I'm not sure that anybody is necessarily Well, I am not disrespecting the Florida Panthers by picking the Edmonton Oilers to win. These are the best two teams in the National Hockey League. If the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup, you put your hand down, Johnny. I will not be surprised. I will not be surprised if Florida wins this series. This is a roll of the dice, pick 'em type of situation. So we bring Tyler on here, who covers the Oilers day to day. He's the face of Oilers Nation. You know, he's helped build that whole product out, you know, from its inception, basically. And so, yes, we're going to sit here and talk about the Oilers right now, but understand something. We're not disrespecting, at least Tyler and I are not disrespecting the Florida Panthers. It's still an unbelievable hockey club over there that's very capable of winning a Stanley Cup.
So just my piece of that, I agree with Matthew. It was Matthew, right? Was Matthew said it? What was the name? Because I personally have disrespected the Panthers. I picked Tampa Bay in round 1. Colby, you picked
Tampa Bay. That's not disrespecting them. You just didn't think they'd win the series.
But
what's
that could be looked
about that?
That could be looked at as disrespect.
Picking another team is disrespectful.
Yes, you're not thinking as high of the previous champion as you are the Tampa Bay Lightning.
It's hard to win though. Like, I mean, they've been to 3 Cup Finals. Like, at some point they're gonna lose a fucking series here.
Even the fact that the Oilers are favored, like, I would look at that as disrespect. Like, you're really gonna favor the team that didn't do it last year over the team that did it last year and has now been here 3 years in a row. Like, I definitely look at betting odds as respect versus disrespect for sure. I think so. That's what they're telling you. And I picked against the Panthers in the conference final. Like, I have disrespected the Panthers. I will admit it. And that's why I'm taking them to win this series, because I have disrespected them and they have shut me up round after round after round. And I'm not going to do that again.
I don't know. I don't like the betting odds being disrespectful. I don't buy that at all. I think the Oilers are giving a lot of respect to the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, but Tyler, like, when the Carolina Hurricanes are constantly favored every round, we always say, oh, well, they respect the Hurricanes too much. Is that not a conversation?
I mean, I not really, because the Carolina Hurricanes usually do rip their way through 2 rounds and they're underdogs in the conference final and they get their asses kicked. So I don't know. Again, like, I don't think Florida's being disrespected. I just, like, again, Edmonton this year against the LA Kings. It was the 5th year in a row it was the Oilers and the LA Kings. And what did every expert do? Every expert went, the Kings are due for a win here.
I picked against Edmonton in round 1.
It's the way your brain works. You sit there and go, okay, Florida won last year. It went to 7 games. It was really close. Edmonton looks better this year. It's not like an unnatural conclusion to jump to be like, oh, Edmonton wins this time, because it'd be very hard for Florida to do it back-to-back years. Like, again, I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it's just looking at the reality of the situation and a little bit of, like, no one wants to sit there and be like, well, I'm picking the Panthers again. Like, everyone wants a different champion. I don't think it's disrespectful. I think it's just the reality of everything that you see in front of you.
Win or lose, the Florida Panthers are one of the most highly functioning organizations in professional sports. They are one of the most efficiently high functioning organizations in professional sports. And when every player wants to come there, okay. And listen, Zito hit on this in his press conference yesterday. and we talked about the results for the last 15 or 20 years for Florida. Like this whole tax thing has been blown out of proportion, right?
Yeah.
We're not giving any credit to drafting, coaching, like lifestyle, any of these things.
You know what I always love whenever people have the tax conversation? And listen, I know whatever the weather and all that is definitely about as big, if not a bigger factor. Because when you're an NHL player in Canada, you get paid in US dollars and you get to live in Canadian dollars. You get to buy your real estate in Canadian dollars. That's like a 30% boost right there. And whatever. I know it's not exactly apples to apples, but like there would be, if you want to talk about like money advantages and all that, a Canadian player living in a Canadian city full time is like an extra 30% on your paycheck when you convert it. So again, I don't like that whole tax advantage, tax free.
Well, and not to mention, Tyler, when you're a professional athlete, you pay taxes in a lot of different places.
Yes, it's where you play your games.
It's only 41 home games. Okay. So it's not this different, again, like I remember literally having to do like sign papers for tax returns for owing state taxes in 7 different states and getting a refund from 3 different states. Like, depending on how your accountant does it, it is not the same as it's not as cut and dry as everybody makes it sound.
Speaking of that, I saw a tweet yesterday, and this is so off topic, but like it was just made me laugh. Like, why do I have to pay tax on a meal with my money that's already taxed? And I was like, damn, that's actually a good fucking
first
you
time.
want to talk about
that's the first time you've ever seen that?
No, but like I know it, but I just like saw it and I was like,
you pay income tax, then you pay sales tax, and then you pay property tax with all the money that you've already been taxed on. Yeah, I mean, no shit. Like,
I know
it's a fucked up situation. Try living in Canada; they pay like 90% tax.
Did you know the first
tax
time
for coming on this show?
Did you know the first time? What state is it? Is it Florida where they include tax in the actual price for the bill? Because I forgot where I was, but I double tipped once, like because I didn't know that the tip was in the.
All right, Tyler. Let's see. Before we let you go here, I am going to ask you. I am going to ask you for a prediction. I think you hinted and alluded to it earlier, but I'd like to know what your prediction is, and I would like to know why you are confident in that prediction.
I am the Oilers Nation guy. I feel like everyone who's slightly leaning towards the Oilers is saying Oilers in 7. I feel like everyone who's confident in the Oilers is just taking the easy Oilers in 6. So I feel like it is on me to take it a step further. Last year, game 1 of that series, the Edmonton Oilers, by the bulk of scoring chances, all of that, they felt like they deserved that hockey game. They will tell you that. People in that organization, players on that team will tell you, we deserved game 1.
I agree.
Bobrovsky stole it. It was gut-wrenching for them. They couldn't believe it. They were almost in such disbelief. It's the reason they were down 3-0.
Well, they have 3 breakaways in that game that they missed in like the first period.
On one of the breakaways, they slid the puck backhand 5-hole on Sergei Bobrovsky, went through his legs and hit the post. Like, how does shit like that happen, right?
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is sometimes, and almost all the time, there is a game in a series where one team really deserves to win and the other team just, you kind of sit there at the end and you go, how the hell did they get that one? So I think home ice advantage is really important. I think the Oilers, they're obviously a dominant home team. They've lost once on home ice in these entire playoffs. I think they're up 2-0. I think they steal one in Florida. So it probably goes 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. And if the Edmonton Oilers are up 3-1 in a series, who am I to say they're not winning game 5 on home ice down at Rogers Place? Oilers in 5. You know what? And people are going to laugh and people are going to be like, you aren't respecting your opponent enough, blah, 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 blah. But guess what, Colby? They laughed when I said Oilers in 5 against Vegas. They said, oh, Vegas isn't LA, Tyler.
I did. I laughed at you. I told you were crazy.
Yeah. And then what did everybody say when I said Oilers in 5 against the Stars? They said, Tyler, Mikko Rantanen is a star. Jake Ottinger versus Stuart Skinner. You're insane. I said, no, watch. Oilers in 5. Oh, what are we saying now that I say Oilers in 5 in the Cup Final? Tyler, respect the Bobrovsky.
The comments are, I mean, people think you're smoking a J this morning, Tyler.
I am.
Let me make one counter argument, Tyler, because there's one big detail in those 2 game 5s that you're leaving out. Those were both on the road. On this show, the last 2 years, Colby and I have witnessed it. We've talked about it. When you are closing out a series in game 5 in front of your own fans, I think I don't have the stat. Maybe Vic can find it or someone can find it. More often than not, that home team loses that game 5 and then they'll close it out on the road in 6. Like I've seen that happen so many times over the last 2 years because that moment is so big to close it out in front of your home fans, and the pressure is ginormous that sometimes it just gets to that team and they close it out in the following game. I've seen it happen so many times. Look at, I mean, Toronto's the worst possible example, but look at Toronto this year. Like Toronto, game 5 at home, they lose. They go to Ottawa. They win game 6 in Ottawa. Like that was just one example off the top of my head I can think of, but I feel like I've seen that happen a lot.
2023 Stanley Cup Finals, the Vegas Golden Knights won in how many games, and where did they win game 5?
Kachuk was hurt. Doesn't count.
Kachuk's hurt right now.
All right, Tyler, I assume you will be in the building tonight.
You know it.
All right, you will be in the building. So you will have all of the sights and the scenes from Rogers Place. Where is give us a little rundown of Oilers Nation coverage so we can make sure that we're directing people properly from our show that, probably are already on Oilers Nation, but if they're not, you give them a little bit of sneak peek into where they can catch you guys all day for the next couple of days.
So we're doing a mega stream today, which means Liam and I are going live at our usual time, noon Mountain, 2 o'clock Eastern. And Liam and I are going live right until 5 o'clock. So we're doing a 5-hour show today to get set for game 1 of the Cup Final.
You didn't ask me if I could come on. I'm like, that's a little, my feelings might be slightly hurt.
First off, you could pick the Oilers every single game for the next 5 years, and our chat would never forgive you for picking the LA Kings. So you're cooked. But I think we got a great guest list. I'm confirming a few things, but I think your boy Pat Maroon's going to swing by. A few other. I mean, everyone's in Edmonton, so I'm hoping to have some cool people swing by the studio today. 5-hour stream that leads right into our pregame show at 5 o'clock. Devin Dubnyk, who you guys have had on the show, we flew him in from Minnesota, so he's going to be joining us in studio for the next couple of days here and enjoying springtime in Edmonton. So 5-hour stream, 5 hours of me and Liam. Nothing else we'd rather do than sit there and talk about the people, or talk to the people about the Oilers and a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
And you'll be doing DFO live at noon as well today. That'll be regular on the Daily Faceoff YouTube.
Yeah, I got to get out of here, go pick up Frank from his hotel and drive him into the office.
I just want to say one thing before you go, Tyler, friend to a friend. The online things that you will see from me over the next 2 weeks will be supporting the Panthers, because I want people to think that I'm smart and I know hockey and that I picked the Panthers because I know what I'm watching. But my heart is with you. I want you to get your Stanley Cup, and I really hope it happens for you. And I'm genuinely saying that. So don't take anything that I say on social media too seriously. It's all propaganda for my own brain and for people to think that I'm smart. But I want you to
no Kevin Weeks debacle with Tyler is what you're saying?
That's a totally different story.
So, Johnny, you got a girlfriend now, so someone's there to help you pick the splinters out of your ass from sitting on the fence. But I get it, buddy. It's all good.
big
I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm rooting for Edmonton. I think the Panthers are going to win.
If the Oilers lose, Johnny, and there's a world where like Connor McDavid says I've had enough, do you part with Will Cully in that trade, or is he still off limits in that one?
Definitely not.
You wouldn't trade McDavid for him either, Johnny?
He's not a winner. I mean, if he doesn't win again,
realize this is another guy's career that Johnny's going to ruin. He ruined Lafreniere. That wasn't enough. Now he's going to ruin the other guy by calling him a 100-point scorer.
If the Oilers don't win, my narrative is Connor McDavid can't win the big one again.
You're so original.
Why would I want him? Why would I want him on the team? Why would I want him on the
Tyler, before we let you go, there is a package being delivered to you between 11:45 and 3:45 p.m. today.
Oh, buddy. And if the Oilers win it all, I'm going to be rollerblading down 104th Ave. It's going to be electric.
Honestly, I would expect you to live put on the rollerblades during the show. Okay. So I'll be watching to do a live unboxing of the blades. So you're the best, buddy. You're the best.
Right. Yeah.
Have fun. Enjoy taking the sights and the scenes, and just be ready to get up early with us, because we're going to be asking you to come on a lot here for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm giddy up. I'm ready to go. City of Champions. Let's get it.
All right, buddy.
He's the best. I love his composure, honestly. Like, you can really just see the difference between this year and last year. It's not
happy to be here. It's like now we mean business. Yeah. I agree.
And that's a reflection on the team. Like, that's the mindset the team has had, from what it sounds like. I'll never get over what McDavid said after game 5 when they beat Dallas last round. He was like, I don't want to call it boring, but he said, like, we're here to win. Like, there was no smile on his face, there wasn't like a sigh of relief to get to the Cup final. It was like, this is where we're meant to be, and that's rare to find in an athlete. And honestly, in someone like Tyler, because if it were me, I'd be like, fucking, you know me.
No, I don't. What would you be like, Johnny?
I would just be like, emotional, delusional, all those kinds of things.
Listen, you have to convince yourself, right? So listen, if you love Tyler Yaremchuk, hit the like button. We still got some different things to cover here. We've got our Ninja Crispy hot take today, which I would think is going to spark quite a bit of debate in our chat.
MY Marine wants to do it now, so should we just do it now?
Yes. Well, we're gonna talk about it now. I refrained from talking about it with you too much last night, but I also thought, I think it was New York Marine who said this on Twitter. I feel like you posted a picture and tagged your girlfriend on Instagram and you timed it with your insane Twitter post as like some sort of distraction. Like, I don't know if you were trying to distract people away from the picture, if you were trying to say something crazy on Twitter. Like, I don't know if maybe this was planned.
There was no correlation between the two.
No correlation. Okay. All right. So there you have it. So why don't we get into Ninja Crispy and you can talk about the insanity that is your brain.
Well, I'm handing it over to you, but I'll do the ad read. It's time now for the Crispy Hot Take presented by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer.
Meet the first of its kind, the Ninja Crispy portable cooking system. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand, so you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
It's an all-in-one system that includes a 4-quart, 6-cup Tupperware glass container and 2 storage lids. The Ninja Crispy is thermal shock resistant and can go from frozen to crispy in minutes. With a Crispy Power Pod, you get the power of a full-size air fryer in the palm of your hands. The 4-quart container fits 4 pounds of chicken or veggies. You can cook a personal-sized meal in 7 minutes in a 6-cup container with max crisp, bake, air fry, and re-crisp. With a Ninja Crispy, you can prep, cook, and store anything from crispy favorites to one-dish meals. So visit their website in the link in the description. And we've been talking about the Ninja Crispy all playoffs here on Morning Cup of Hockey. So now it's time for you to win your very own Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 portable glass air fryer. All you have to do is head to our Instagram page to find our contest sign up, follow at Ninja Crispy Canada, and reply with what kind of dish you'd like to cook in your Ninja Crispy. I'm passing it over to you, Colby. Whichever narrative you want to push, however you want to twist my words, whichever way you want to spin it, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, here's how I want to start. I want to start like this. I want to read numbers to everybody to start, okay? I'll start with this. We have a player. He plays for the Dallas Stars. He's 25 years of age, okay? He's been in the National Hockey League full-time for 5 seasons, full-time, okay? In those 5 seasons, okay, we're going to just focus on the last 4 of the 5 seasons. 41 goals, 46 goals, 29 goals, 35 goals, 79 points, 109 points, 80 points, and 80 points. And 25 years old. So he's been doing that since he's 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to throw that out there. 374 career games played, 394 points, plus 95.
It's funny too, because his playoff numbers are really good too, and you're probably not even gonna read those.
I'm not even gonna go there. Not gonna go there. Then I'm gonna go to another guy. He plays for the New York Rangers. 6'3", 212 pounds, good size. Okay. He's been in the National Hockey League full-time for 2 seasons. He's got 13 goals and 20 goals. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Those are really admirable numbers for a guy who plays third line minutes, averaging 11 minutes his first year, 15 minutes of ice his second year. Okay. Then I'm going to read off another guy's. I'm going to talk about another player. He's a defenseman. He's 6'4". You like a 6'4" defenseman. He plays for the New York Rangers. Okay. His name is Braden Schneider. He's a third pair defenseman who plays about 19 minutes a game. He's a second, third pair defenseman throughout his career. Okay. Johnny said yesterday that he would not trade Jason Robertson for Will Cooley and Braden Schneider and a first-round pick. And he then doubled down and said, I would not trade Will Cooley for anybody. I'd trade Lafreniere. I'd trade Panarin, so on and so forth. I need to understand, Johnny, how in your brain you wouldn't trade a guy who's a second-pair defenseman at his best, probably. Like, that's probably his ceiling. Yeah. Okay. He's a stay-at-home type of defenseman who can make a good first pass and a third liner, okay, with not, I wouldn't say this guy has a top 6 ceiling. He looks like he's going to be a really good third liner in the National Hockey League for a player who, based on his numbers, you could say he's a superstar with those numbers, and a first round pick who you have no idea what it's going to turn into. Like, I mean, it's
okay. So there's a couple of different ways to go here, because you said you can say he's a superstar based on those numbers, but I don't think he's a superstar.
You think
he's a superstar?
I mean,
And
listen,
honestly,
man.
this also has nothing to do with Jason Robertson. It's all about how I feel about Will Cooley, by the way.
But you're talking about a guy who's I'm not basically 40 goal scorer the last couple of years, 41, 46.
You think he's a superstar?
35. Like, you average all those together, you're at 40 a year. Do you know how valuable 40 goals every year is for a hockey team?
Do you know how valuable a staple on the third line at 22 that can
Johnny, 25.
Score?
Okay, so let me just ask you this.
Yeah.
Game 7. Who would you rather have in your lineup? Jason Robertson or Will Cooley?
Okay.
Let me ask you that. No, answer the question. Answer the question.
Jason Robertson. But let me talk.
Okay. Floor's yours.
My point of this whole thing was everyone, like, the Rangers have gone after the big top 6 names year after year after year, and they haven't gotten that third line, fourth line scoring come playoff time that they needed. I watched the conference final last year, and their third line of Capo Kakko, Jack Roslovic, and Alex Wennberg scored 1 goal in the entire series. Once. 1 goal. Will Cooley has become a third line staple, a guy that can score you 20 goals without getting power play time, without getting top 6 time, and he'll fight, he'll hit. He is a coach's dream of a hockey player. He does everything. And I'm not comparing him to Jason Robertson. I am saying I would trade anyone in the Rangers top 6 for Robertson, because that's a role we need to improve on. But I don't want to improve on that by sacrificing the bottom 6, because then the time will come again where we'll have top end talent, but they won't have any fucking help like they've had in the past couple years.
Okay, but Johnny,
that is my argument.
You need how hard? I get it, but do you know how hard it is to find a 40 goal scorer? I mean, that trade.
I think it's just as hard to find a 20 goal third liner.
I just want to say this: the Dallas Stars would be on drugs if they were willing to trade Will Cooley, a first round pick, and Braden Schneider for Jason Robertson. I mean,
I agree.
You would be on drugs if you were the Dallas Stars to make that trade.
I agree.
But you wouldn't even do it from the other side. If Dallas said, yes, I'll do that,
I would take out Cooley and put in Lafreniere.
No. We're not talking about that, though. We're not talking about the guy's career that you ruined, okay? You tell me, you mean Jim Nill calls you and says, I will make this deal right now. I want a first, Braden Schneider, and Will Cooley. You mean to tell me you're saying no?
Also, you got to think about the dollars, too. Like, what?
We're just talking about the trade here, okay? Panarin's coming off the books. The guy, like, he's going to come off the books eventually.
Yeah.
Okay? Who would you rather have, Robertson or Panarin?
Bottom line to me, Colby, I watched the Rangers play 77 games this year of the 82. I missed 5 probably because I was doing, college hockey games that I couldn't watch. I'd say 95% of the players in the roster this year left a bad taste in my mouth. One of those 5%ers was Will Cooley, who every single night, no matter how poor this team was playing, was the one guy who was consistent all year. He threw the body. He went to the net. He won battles. He defended. He scored goals. The list goes on and on. Like, to me, he's the one player that I'm not saying build a team around, but he's the model of a hockey player I would want on my team. And I think every coach would want. And I'm not just going to get rid of him for, like, I understand how important 40 goals are, but you also need those bottom 6 guys that are staples and know their role. This guy knows exactly what he has to do night in, night out. And he's 22. Like, I made the comparison, like, if his career is like Alex Killorn's, that's a great career. And again, I understand, like, the Robertson comparison, but the Rangers had brought in these big name guys year after year. And it just,
when did they ever do that for a 25-year-old though? Tarasenko was old at the end of his career.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kane is old at the end of his career.
That's fair.
A 25-year-old who's got,
all right, but
like,
let's not make this about the Rangers.
I can't get past the fact that you'd say no to that trade. And I think this is just you falling in love with a third liner that you could replace. No disrespect to him.
I think anyone in the top 6 is replaceable. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's not easy to find a 25-year-old who scored 40 in 4 of the first 5 years of his career, 35 the other year, and then he's had 1 year where it's a little slower and he only got 30.
Okay, I'm not saying I disagree, but I still don't think Jason Robertson is superstar category. And I know you're like elite superstar, all-star. Like where does he fall to you? Like,
yeah,
why was he left off Team USA?
I'm not putting, well, first off, he didn't have, the first half of the year, the pressure clearly got to him. And then the second half of the year, he was one of the leading scorers in the National Hockey League.
And I know he's hurt
about a number of guys.
I know he's coming back from injury in the playoffs, but this guy was irrelevant in the first 8 games of the playoffs.
I'm not saying Robertson is an elite guy yet, but like Robertson is in the All-Star game every year, right? He's on the cusp. Okay. And I saw someone say that Marner isn't a star. I saw someone put that in the chat. I mean, guys, come on. Like, you can't sit here and say when Marner has 102 points and 99 points every year, like, yeah, he's not a great playoff performer, but I mean, the guy's about to get $13 million a year. We're going to sit here and say Marner's not a star. I mean, come on. Like, Jason Robertson scores 40 goals. Like, he looks like he's going to score 30 to 40 every year. I mean, the going rate for those types of players, it's like they're hard to find. Like they're rarely available.
But so are the good third liners.
Is available. You see, I think you're on drugs when you say something like that. Do you know how much easier it is to find a third liner and develop a third liner than it is a 40 goal scorer? You got to be a fucking freak to score 40 goals in the National Hockey League. Okay. Like,
but my point is that you need both.
Of course you need both. The team that all we do is talk about the third line of the Florida Panthers, Luosterainen, Lundell, and Brad Marchand. But like, come on. You mean to tell me you think Zito wouldn't fucking give up Luosterainen or Lundell in a package for Jason Robertson? Of course he would. Like, you could drop Sam Bennett down to the third line. It's just like, you're talking about 2 different planets basically. And like, again, I appreciate how much you fall in love with your Rangers players because I saw you do this and turn into a crazy person over Lafreniere.
Yeah, but I said you could ship him off for Robertson right now.
I get it. It took you a year to realize that you just kind of fell in love with the flavor of the year, a moment. What's to say that Will Cooley is not another flavor of the week for you? Because he's only had 2 years in the National Hockey League. Now, granted, 81 and 82 games, so he stayed healthy. And I give a guy a lot of credit for that, okay? He scored 13 goals in his rookie season, averaging 11 minutes of ice time. Give him full marks for that, okay? And then in 82 games, when he got 15 minutes a night, he scored 20 goals. Listen, I mean, again, that is a major accomplishment to score 20 goals in the National Hockey League. But come on, like, a 25-year-old with 40 or a third liner. I think that I think your emotional attachment to Will Cooley is clouding your judgment in building a hockey club.
And yeah, I mean, whatever. It's just my opinion.
So what is your hot take then? Your hot take is what? Like, what through all this is your actual hot take that Will Cooley is fill in the blank?
I guess it's not a hot take. Like I guess the hot take would be finding a 20-goal third liner is almost just as hard as finding a 40-goal first liner. I guess that would be the take.
Yeah, I mean, listen, finding a guy to score 20 goals at even strength is difficult. Like, most guys score a lot of their goals.
I think that's just as valuable as it is, and that's probably the stretch.
Yeah, just as valuable. That's where your
the hot take was.
That's your hot take. It's not just as valuable. 20 is not as valuable as 40. It's just not.
20 on your third line.
It's just
when you're. Think
20
about
is not as valuable as 40.
Think about the teams that don't get the depth scoring, like even
let me
Dallas.
Okay,
so Dallas just now though. Dallas.
The Rangers had depth on their third line, right? They got 20 goals from their third liner, right? How did it work out for them this season?
Not good because their
Okay,
top guys
Dallas got to a conference final.
because their top guys suck.
Well,
Yeah, but
come on.
Dallas in the conference final, they
I'm-
didn't get the depth scoring.
Okay, but my point is we're talking about how to get into the playoffs, how to build a winning team. Like you're saying 20 on the third line is as valuable as 40 on the top line. I just don't think that's true. Of course,
Jim the Swede is totally twisting my words. I'm not saying
every team that wins the Stanley Cup has depth on their third and their fourth line. There's no doubt about that. Go all the way back. The fourth line always gets talked about. Eddie Olczyk will talk about that till he's blue in the face on the broadcast, how important that third and that fourth line is. Yeah. Florida will show it. Edmonton will do their best to show it, right? And that's going to be a big part of this matchup is like, what does that Marchand line do? Who do they play against? Can they steal the series from the big dogs of Edmonton? That's going to be a huge part of it. But I just, I appreciate the fact that you put stuff like this on social media because it gives us something to yell at each other about. But I didn't
think would take on a life like that.
I mean, last night when I looked at it at 100,000 views, what's it at now? Do you know?
I don't even know.
What did Jim the Swede say? Do you want to read it out loud? Do you want me to read it?
There are people that agreed with me.
Yeah, I mean, I see a couple of people in the chat, and they're probably people that are like your Rangers people that are just here to like they hate me. But Jim the Swede said basically what you're saying, Johnny, is that a third liner is more valuable than a star player. Cooley is a guy you can grab in free agency every year if you have the option between him and Robo. I mean, like Johnny, I know he's simplifying it a little bit, but that's kind of what you're saying. That is kind of what you're saying.
I'm telling you, if you watched every Rangers game, Will Cooley is not a guy you can just grab in free agency.
What's his ceiling? What is the best? What is his ceiling? What is going to look like for the next 15 years of his career?
And Mackenzie Petrie saying, I think everyone is intentionally misinterpreting what John. That's what they always do. Mackenzie, welcome to the show. I'm not like no one is sitting here saying a star player or a third liner is more important than a star player.
And Ice Club, I'm not just narrowing it down to two players. Ice Clubs in the chat says Colby, you're narrowing it down to Cooley and Jason Robertson. Remember, there's a Schneider and a first along with it. Listen, that's an easy choice for me. Dallas will never agree to that, but if I'm the New York Rangers, Chris Drury's driving Cooley, Schneider, and his first round pick to the airport, and he's sending him on a private jet with his own money because that would be highway robbery for Chris Drury if he could get that deal done.
Who's like a universally loved third liner in the NHL? Maybe not loved, but like respected.
I mean, current one.
Yeah, like who's a current third liner that's like,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, listen, Luosterainen and Lundell, they're all over it. And Coach Ruth says Brad Marchand. Marshy's not really a third liner. Yeah, like he's, that's a pretty good one actually from Jason Bollinger. Noah Cates. He's a third liner for the Flyers who just got a pretty nice little payday. Yeah. He is one of the smarter third liners who just does his job really well. Like he might be the Flyers version of Will Cooley, honestly. When you think about the way your fan base talks about him, I think the Flyers fan base feels a little bit about Noah Cates like you guys feel about Will Cooley.
This might actually be a stretch, but this is where my brain is. And again, I know this guy doesn't play third line minutes, but I think their style of play feels a little bit similar. The way I think most Ranger fans feel about Will Cooley, and again, there will be people who disagree, is how Leafs fans feel about Matthew Knies. Matthew Knies probably has more skill. No,
come on, Johnny.
I'm saying how we feel about the player.
Talking about. Come on,
how we feel about the player.
We're talking about Matthew Knies as making Team USA next year, getting an 8-year contract for $8, $9, maybe even $10 million a year. Like what
feeling. I'm saying feeling.
Like, how you're talking, you're not. Come on, you gotta do better. If you're gonna say shit like that, it's got to be more.
Ranger fans love Will Cooley. That's all I'm saying. That's like just like Leafs fans love Matthew Knies.
Rangers fans love Rempe, and he plays 3 minutes a night.
That's different.
Like,
that's different.
How's it different?
Because Rangers fans hate everyone else on the team.
I mean, you cannot compare Knies and Will Cooley.
It's a fan base falling in love with a player. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying money.
But the fan base fell in love with Rempe. They treat him like he's fucking Santa Claus.
You're impossible to talk to. The chat even gets what I'm saying.
Okay,
You're
so
impossible.
let me take my all right.
Yes.
I'm gonna bring my tone down a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Explain to me how it's different with Rempe, because honestly, I'm not trying to be an asshole or be difficult, but I see the Rangers fan base unapologetically love a guy who plays 3 minutes a night. You have come on this show time and time again. You've talked about the energy in the building, the way the fans cheer for him.
Are you really doing this?
You've got no. I'm being serious. You just made a comment about how the fans feel about him. So now I'm saying to you, they feel that way about
But more Ranger fans actually hated Rempe than they did love him. Like that's true. Like there was a certain select group of Ranger fans who loved Rempe. That wasn't the collective feeling. There is no you can talk to any Ranger fan, you can pick out 100, not one of them will say I dislike Will Cooley. Not one of them. Universally loved, universally respected by Ranger fans. That's what I'm saying. That's how Leafs fans feel about Matthew Nyes. They love him. That's all I'm saying. There's not one Leafs fan that would blame Matthew Nyes for anything this year.
The guy is on the cusp of being a number one, like not a number, but like a superstar, a guy who's maybe making the U.S. Olympic player.
I'm not saying what the player is. I'm saying how the fans feel about them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
get that through your fucking head, please.
But so
this conversation has gone on too long. We're way past the point. This is stupid at this point. Because I'm not going to get through to you. This is dumb.
But you're getting upset when I'm trying to ask you, like, I'm trying to fully understand it, because like the whole me bringing Rempe into this conversation, like I'm not doing it to be smug, although I know everybody thinks that's just my natural way.
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with.
You're talking about how fans feel about a player. We're not talking about how good they are anymore. We're just talking about how they feel about him.
Like potential I don't know.
So like a fan favorite. So like a fan favorite. They love a guy because
of like work ethic and respect and actual skill. Like Cooley has all those things.
Yeah.
Like you can, again, Mechanicsville, thank you. You can just disagree and let's move on, because we're just going to talk in circles and this is stupid.
Yeah, I mean you're getting your panties in a bunch here, and I don't understand
why. No, because
you're
bringing Matt Rempe into the conversation, which
Johnny, you're talking about how people feel about a player, and what I'm trying to understand is how they feel about a player versus what they do on the ice. Like, what's the correlation? Like that's all I'm asking you. All right, we can move on. It's fine.
Well,
we can move on.
Will Cooley did do it on the ice, just like Matthew Nyes does it on the ice. Like fans love his game.
Okay,
they love his game.
Look, you want to? I'm happy to move on.
Matthew Nyes is like a 80-point scorer.
I'm happy to move on. Okay, you said you wanted to move on.
Okay.
Do you want to move on, or do we keep?
Yeah, you transition.
Okay. Well, we still got to do Bet365. All right.
Do you want to talk about Rod Brind'Amour?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about Rod Brind'Amour.
I think we're both on the right side of that one. Huh?
What do you mean?
The handshake thing. Rod Brind'Amour spoke yesterday or 2 days ago to the media about like his interpretation of what Paul Maurice said about the handshake line, and he was like, I have a lot of good moments in those handshake lines. Like I don't want to not be a part of that.
Well, listen, so transparently, I said I understood Paul Maurice on it, and said like I have no problem.
I disagree with you actually.
Yeah, and that's fine. And honestly, and I completely respect Rod Brind'Amour's point of view on it too. I can still say I understand Paul Maurice, and I think I even agree. I think it's really only for the players, but I respect Rod Brind'Amour's point too. Like the guy has lived experience. Who am I to tell Rod Brind'Amour your lived experience or your feelings on that are wrong? No, he gets to have his opinion, which I greatly respect. I just think that then why didn't he do it? Like, why did he back down and not go through the handshake line? I guess would be my question. Like, why did he acquiesce? Is it because Maurice?
He said we have the clip. Let's Vic, play the clip.
I've had some pretty impactful memories and moments in that line as a coach going through, and even in this series, in this playoff round with the Devils, and I had 4 or 5 guys that were Hurricanes, and I still think of them that. So it meant something to me to go through there and shake their hand. For me, I'm not thinking about a TV moment. It's just I get enough of that. Every time there's a penalty, the thing gets shot on my face. So that's not in it for me. So I think moving forward, I think it's, I think I'll probably go back to it just because it's a sign of respect. That's the way I look at it. We're not out there on the ice battling, but we're right in there with these guys. And so that's my take. I think you're entitled to whatever one you want. He won, so I kind of went, okay, I'm going to follow your lead, in that. But I do think it's important to me anyway to show respect to the players.
Listen, first off, I thought that was really funny what he said about the TV camera.
Yeah,
I know
accidentally funny.
Our mics are muted, and so
Yeah.
I was like laughing as he said that. But look, his approach is perfect.
Yeah.
Here's why it matters to me.
That's what I said.
And here are the moments that I've had. But I also respect Paul Maurice's view on it. He won. So I went listen, I wish more people could have that frame of mind the way Rod Brind'Amour did. But listen, this is a guy who won a cup as a player, captained NHL teams, was a model citizen of work ethic and two-way hockey for a very long time. So how could you not respect anything really that Rod Brind'Amour has to say? Even if you don't agree with it, he's the type of guy that has earned the respect for everybody to at least listen. Then you take it and you go your own way. And so, like I said, I'm kind of surprised if he felt like that he acquiesced on it and he didn't go through the line, but good for him. Like, again, I love when people actually take the curtain down or the wall down and they speak their truth and their mind in hockey, because so few people do it.
Should I read what Vic just wrote?
I haven't seen it.
Look at our private chat. Because I kind of agree.
Yeah, go ahead, read it.
So this is from Vic. Paul Maurice is annoying. All this winning is getting to his head. So Paul Maurice could go from so lovable, great soundbite, to maybe a little bit smug if the Panthers win this Stanley Cup. No?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in order to do what any of these guys do, you have to be a little arrogant. You have to be a little bit cocky. You have to have a little bit swag. You have to have a little bit of smugness. If that's even a word, smugness.
You can make it a word.
It's a word. I'm sure the chat will let me know. But,
Yeah.
I think that you need all those things to be great. And if you think that Rod Brind'Amour doesn't have some of that stuff in him, you're wrong. He does. You have to have it to control a locker room, to control a group of $100 million plus payroll. Like, you've got to have a level of swagger that you bring into the room. Go ahead, Johnny.
J-Rock had a great point. More of a TV moment to not go through the line and to actually say that. That was putting more attention on Paul Maurice than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've only really I've gotten
Merrill was a great comment too, if you want to read that one quick.
I think Maurice's view negates all the hard work that the coaching staff, trainers, equipment staff, etc., put into every win or loss for the team.
I agree.
I don't, but that's a fair point. I don't, because I told you there's a lot of moments that get shared after these games in private. And I think that's one thing that nobody else sees, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of these moments that are shared after a game in the back hallways between the two locker rooms when there is no TV cameras around and there's no media members with their cell phones taking videos and putting it on social media. It is a big, big thing that happens after 82 games. And then it happens after every series in the playoffs. So I think that's one piece that we're fully discounting because nobody gets to see it, right? But again, these are very valid points from our chat. It's valid points from Rod Brind'Amour. I think Paul Maurice's points are valid. It's really just going to depend on what your opinion is on the matter. And you get to have that opinion. And that's the way it works, honestly.
And you get to twist it.
And then I get to twist it. And I just can't believe you think Matt Rempe's better than Jason Robertson.
See, so just for the newbies, if we have some newbies in here, I always see people I don't know how Johnny deals with Colby. This is all love. I love going at him. And listen, oftentimes he twists my words, but oftentimes I know when I get to him. and it feels good, but he'll never let me know that I got to him.
And none of you ever get to see the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And you know, again, I did see that comment. I don't know who it was. I think it was a new person being like, I don't know how he does it every day. And we get all the comments where people are like, you know, Johnny, you can't work with Colby anymore. Get a different co-host or whatever. Like, neither of us are interested in doing this show without the other one.
But there are times where I really fucking hate you.
Yeah, and there are times where you're texting me and you know how fucking crazy you're driving me when, you know, you're literally just doing it to be an annoying younger brother. Like, you literally do things that you're like, I'm bored right now. I'm gonna piss Colby off and get under his skin like a fucking younger brother does.
But you did that to me last week, and I was like, I'm not taking the bait.
You did. You didn't take the bait. You didn't take the bait.
See, this is the shit
Josh
that
knows what
See,
you
this
said.
This is the shit.
Yeah,
this is the
I
shit
mean,
that
listen. I mean, it's time for a new narrative on Twitter. Will Cooley will score 100 points next year? True or false?
Never said that. It was actually funny though. I think it was.
Vic will find a way to clip the show to where you did say it.
I think it was Singsy though. Singsy was like, you know, Johnny, like the Empty Netters guys who I know you were like interacting with on Twitter last night were saying like
those guys kill you on social media.
Oh, but they're the best. We should actually have them on the show when they're in Florida.
Why? Like I text them all the time.
They're California. It's 6 a.m.
Get up early.
You tell them that then.
Get up. I do. I'm in a group chat with him and Grinnell, and you know our group chat is titled Johnny. And I asked him to come on. I ask them to come on the show all the time. I want them to come on unannounced just to get you off guard a little bit.
Yeah. That would actually be, I'd be rattled. But the point was like Singsy, I think said like, Laz said like Lafreniere would have 80 points or something. And I was like, no, I actually said 100. Like he was giving me shit for like saying that. Either way, should we move on? Should we do bet of the night?
Let's get to Bet365. But before we do that, make sure you like the episode. Our subscriber count, we need 700 something more. I don't know what the exact number is, Vic. But you guys are subscribing to the Daily Face-Off YouTube. We're in that home stretch to get to 30,000. The Cup Finals starts in, is the game at 8 o'clock tonight? So 10 hours from now. So we've got 10 hours till puck drop, and then we've got one series of hockey left to get to 30,000. Okay. And Vic just gave it to me. Okay. We've got 29,220 subscribers. We got to get to 30,000 subscribers, and we are nearing in on it. Make sure you get your automatic downloads on. Make sure you comment on the YouTube chat. We did go through the comments this morning. I replied to you, Jeremiah, in the YouTube comments about the new law coming in Congress about shorts on an airplane. I actually got a text from a friend of mine, Zach Firestone, yesterday, who texted me asking me about the whole shorts on the plane thing, because he wears shorts on a plane. And so he wanted to know what my beef is and thought maybe it was a germ thing. But we do see your comments. We appreciate your comments. We'll do our best to get back to your comments. We'll do our best to talk about your comments if they are, if they are comments that there are topics that we can bring into the show. So continue to subscribe, continue to download, continue to comment, get the retweets going. Let's drive this thing home. Contract negotiations are underway for next season. We always keep you guys in the loop with that stuff. We'll continue to keep you guys in the loop for what our plans are after the finals are over, because we don't exactly know how we're going to handle that yet moving forward. So with that, Johnny, say what you got to say, and then let's move on to Bet365.
Some of the comments are so funny. And Josh Doig, I know you're an everyday listener. I love you for the last comment. Great stuff.
What did he say?
Colby does twist Johnny's words a bit. I will say he takes something Johnny says and twists it a bit. Johnny says Cooley is a great third line guy and Nyes isn't as dominant as a first line. Colby says, you think Cooley is better? LOL. Pretty funny. And then Dacky was like, is there actually a law preventing that now?
Only for Jeremiah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Only if you're from Alaska. If you fly out of Alaska, you're not allowed to wear shorts.
Before we do our Bet365 bet of the night for the NHL, I do want to say I'm a sucker or I'm a genius, because Novak Djokovic plays at 215 and he's only minus 115 against Alexander Zverev, and I'm all over that. So if anyone watches tennis and wants to ride that Djokovic bet with me, by all means, please let me know. I'm a big tennis fan. Colby's a big tennis fan. I'll be watching Roland Garros on my couch at 2:30.
Zverev can never beat Djokovic.
I don't even think I'll sweat that one out. I'm very confident in that bet.
Yeah,
minus 115 seems crazy.
Well, Djokovic is a little banged up.
Yeah,
he's not 100% healthy. So, but it'll be a good match. Nonetheless,
yes,
it seems like Zverev is doing his best to, get there. But it's just a guy who's going to go his whole career without the big one because of the era he had to play against all these guys. And then by the time he was later into his 20s, these new young guys came up like Alcaraz and some of these Sinner and some of these other studs. So, all right, let's get to
QF Pro 21. Relax, okay,
yeah,
buddy. We want just one thing in there. Okay,
let's get to Bet365.
Right,
what
so
happened?
No, I was addressing a comment from QF Pro 21.
Okay,
talk tennis for 30 seconds. If you want to get in the action for Stanley Cup playoffs at Bet365, they've got you from game props, player props, totals, and the money line. You can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, the Stanley Cup champions, and much, much more. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So download the app and get in on the game, an official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. And remember, you must be 19 or older. And tonight, because the Edmonton Oilers are not good in game ones, they lost game one in round one. They lost game one in round three. And I think they will lose game one tonight in the Stanley Cup Final on home ice. Florida money line. No one on this show is disrespecting the defending Stanley Cup champions. I think they come out and take game one tonight on the road and take a 1-0 series lead. So I like Florida money line tonight at plus 110.
You think Florida is going to go in and win on home ice? Do you think?
God damn it!
Who do you think? Oh God, it's too good. Do you think that who do you think is going to be a little more rusty to start tonight? It's been basically the same layoff for both teams,
thing, right? It's been a week. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, listen. Tomorrow we have a hockey game to talk about. At least results to talk about. So
I'm gonna have my notebook out tonight. I'm taking notes. I'm dialed.
Yeah. Okay. We're trying to kind of figure out who we want to talk to. We've been kind of putting some.
I feel like we just go you and me tomorrow. No.
Yeah, maybe. I did actually, as we're doing the show, I got a text from Catherine asking like what she thinks works. I actually said, do you think Friday would be a better day to come on? Because she's going to be at the game tonight, probably doing interviews there late. So asking her to get up super early and be all camera ready. So I asked maybe if Friday was a day she'd be more interested in coming on. But she's out there traveling. We do have to get Kevin Weeks on the show. I mean, we do got to clear the beef, the Kevin Weeks, Johnny Laz beef. Like
it's one-sided, but
people can't have beef with you. I mean, that doesn't sit well with me when somebody else has beef with you. Only I'm allowed to have beef with you.
I wonder if he even remembers, honestly. He
probably does. He probably does. But I do feel like I'm going to reach out to him and see if maybe there's a good time to get him on. I mean, he's a busy guy and he is a hard guy to lock down. But first off, I think he'd be a great guest. Second off, he's covering the series. And third off,
let me give the backstory.
No, don't give the backstory. I think we wait on the backstory.
Okay.
Let's wait on the backstory. But we can confirm that there is beef. One-sided beef, as Johnny has said, and it honestly pretty harmless, taken out of context, taken the wrong way.
Yeah, very harmless.
Johnny can't act like, again, we all know Johnny. Johnny's a golden retriever. Like golden retrievers might do silly things or stupid things, or they might pee on the floor every once in a while, but they're golden retrievers. Like you can't actually be mad at a golden retriever. And that's where I think we got to get Weeksy on. We got to clear the air, and then we got to talk to him about the Stanley Cup Final. So I am going to work on that because I think that would be very entertaining. And I think that again, maybe usually it's me that people have beef with, not you. So we got to get the air cleared because I said, I don't like other people being mad at you. Only I'm allowed to be mad at you. That's how this works. Johnny, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say or you want to get into, but I hope you have a good day, pal. It is nice out. And go ahead.
Who has the most points in the Cup Final or goals? Do points and goals.
Points, Connor McDavid.
Okay.
Goals, Leon Draisaitl.
Okay. I'm saying goals, Sam Bennett. Points, Sam Reinhart.
Got it. Okay. And Catherine just said she wants to come on next week. She'll be in Florida all week. Remember, next week is Monday and Thursday in Florida. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll work on getting Catherine one of those 2 days. And that'll be perfect since she's boots on the ground covering the series. And maybe we could even stretch it out. I think a lot of people want to hear from Catherine Tappan. I think a lot of people miss Catherine Tappan. We know how much you guys loved having Jackie on here. Like, I hold Catherine Tappan at like the top of the mountain. She's like one of the GOATs when it comes to doing that. So we'll get her on here next year. Rob, no, my golden retriever's name is Oliver, not Johnny. I can't be yelling at Johnny on this and yelling at Johnny. It wouldn't have worked out like that. But all right, everybody, listen, our audience was back today, which we're grateful for. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave those comments, get those downloads on. Tomorrow we will dissect a Stanley Cup Final game. We hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for being here with us.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.